Hello, Tatenda Masara. How are you? So today we want to look at transformation. Last topic that we wanted to discuss was on vectors, but due to failure in network, we didn't manage to look at the vectors. So we are going to look at vectors and transformation. But for this lesson, I want you to pay attention on vectors. We had defined what a vector is. We said a vector is a quantity which is represented by two factors, that is magnitude and direction. And here, as you look from your syllabus, here is the presentation, that is the notation of a vector. You might have the notation of a vector. Let me change the colors here. This is the notation of a vector. You can write a vector AB with an arrow on top. The arrow represents the direction, that is, we are moving from A to B. Or you can write your vector in a bold thing like A. You see this A, it's in bold, so it's some notation of. So for example, I can say my vector AB. I'm moving from A to B. So if I'm moving from A to B, I have to put an arrow. So how do I write my vector? So maybe I'm saying that I put 5 here and minus 2. That is the notation, this notation x over y. What does this mean when I'm saying AB is equals to 5 and minus 2 here? What does this mean? I'm saying from A to B, I'm going to move 5 units to the right for x. Then I move 2 units downwards. For instance, let's say I have this point A. Let's say this is my point A. Like we want to present this vector in a diagram. So I'm going to say from A to B. This one, my x is positive. If my x is positive, which means I'm going to move to the right of the x-axis. But if it was negative, I was supposed to move to the left. That is the negative x-axis. So in this case, I'm going to move 5 units in the x-axis. It's like moving 5 units in the x-axis. Then suppose this is 5 units in the x-axis. Then at this point, I'm now going to move 2 units downwards because of the negative sign. That's 2 units downwards. So suppose this is the 2 units. So this is where I'm going to have my point B. So we are saying from A to B, if a vector is saying from A to B, it's 5 and minus 2, we are saying we are moving 5 units to the right, to the positive direction, the x-axis direction, because the first value that you write is for the x, then the second value you write is for the y. So like if you are given vector A, B, it's like we are saying we are going to move 5 units to the right, then minus 2 units to the what? Downwards for the y-axis. Downwards for the y-axis. Right. So suppose, let's say, I hope you'll be writing what I'm saying. Like this was a certain given example. Let's say suppose we have this vector. Let's say suppose we have this vector AB. Let's say AB is equals to minus 3 and minus 2. Right. Or we want to put it on a diagram or in a Cartesian plane. So we are saying if we are starting at point A to B, or maybe you may say, why are we always using AB? You can even use letters like MN. You can even use letters like MN. Here we are saying we are moving from vector M to N. Right, so our x value, we are starting with the M. Our x value is negative 3. So at M, that is our starting point. Are we going to move to the right or to the left? You can even ask yourself and answer yourself. We are going to move to the left. Why? Because our x value is negative. So we are going to move 3 units in the x-axis. So say suppose it's 3 units here. Then we move. Are we going to move upwards or downwards for y? We are going to move downwards because we have a negative sign. So suppose here it's 2 units downwards. Then you have your n here. This is your n. So this is the vector. This is the vector. This is the vector mn. So this was the notation. How do we write vectors? It was notation, right? The next objective that you must know here is you must know how to add or subtract vectors. You must know how to add or subtract vectors. That is the next concept that you need to know. You need to add and subtract vectors, and you also need to multiply a vector by a scalar. Like for example, e.g., I'm going to give you an example. E.g., let's say I have a vector A. Usually when I write the vectors, I write with a bar on top. Let's say I have vector A, which is -3 and 7. Okay, let me rub this. Which is -3 and 7. And I have vector B, and my vector B is equals to, let's say, maybe 2 and -5. Right, this. So I want you to simplify. For the first one, let's say A plus B. That is, we want to add vector A plus vector B. Then the second one, let's say we want to say it's A minus B. We're going to subtract this one. Then number 3. Number 3, I want you to do 2B minus 3A. 2B minus 3A. Vector 2B minus 3A. Then on number 4, I want you to do let's say 4A minus B. So I want you to try. We haven't do addition and subtraction, but I just want you to try. So you can pause this video and then try number 1 to 4. Okay. I hope you have paused the video and you have tried number 1 to 4. Now let's do together. How did you manage to come up with the number 1? So when we say, let me use a different color. Let me use this one. Right. So when we say A plus B, it's like we are going to take A as it is. This is the vector for A, minus 3 and 7. Then plus B. What is our B? Our B is 2 and minus 5. Maybe you have forgot to pause the video. Can you try to solve me for this one? Can you try to solve me for this one? What did you get? Can you try to solve this one for me? I'm giving you 2 minutes. Right, I think you are now done. When you are adding vectors or subtracting vectors, we say the corresponding elements, they must 8 row subtraction. Like for this one, we have minus 3 and 2 here. That's their x value. So we are going to say minus 3 plus 2. And what is minus 3 plus 2? You get minus 1. Then 7 plus minus 5. Which sign are you going to take with plus and number? You are going to take negative. So it's 7 minus 5, which is 2. So this was the answer for A plus B. Now let's look at how to find A minus B. So we are taking A, which is minus 3 and 7. Then we are going to subtract with B. And what is our B? Our B is 2 and negative 5. B is 2 and negative 5. So if we subtract, we are going to say minus 3 minus 2. I think you still remember those direct numbers. What is minus 3 minus 2? You get minus 5. Then if we say 7 minus 5, if you have minus and minus is plus, 7 plus 5, you are going to get 12. So this is the answer for A minus B. So I think on number 1 and 2 we are done. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 we are subtracting, but we are answering the multiplication by a scalar. We are now seeing 2b. 2 is now a scalar which is multiplying our vector b. 2 is a scalar which is multiplying a vector b. Oh, H. I have rubbed. Okay. I forgot what was b. I have rubbed b by mistake. Let's say, okay, let me put negative 5 here. Yeah, I remember it. There was negative 5 here. Right? So we want to answer number 3. Number 3 is saying 2b minus 3a. So you're saying 2, where there is b, you are going to put your vector b, this one. So it's 2b, which is 2 and negative 5. Subtract 3, and our a, it's minus 3 and 7. Right, so first thing we need to multiply. This 2 is multiplying this one. So we're going to say 2 times 2, you're going to get 4. 2 times negative 5, you are going to get negative 10. Then minus, you are going to take this 3. We are going to take this 3. Don't use this negative, because this negative meant for subtracting. So we are just multiplying this vector by 3. So I'm going to say 3 times negative 3, you get negative 9. Then you say 3 times 7, you get 21. So we are going to say 4 minus 9. We said negative and negative give you plus. So 4 plus 9, we are going to get 30. Then minus 10 minus 21. Minus 10 minus 21. If you know your numbers correctly, what is minus 10 minus 21? Should get negative 31. Right? So this one was for how you find if you add, multiply a vector by a scalar, right? So can you try number 4? If you are done with number 4, by the time you see this video, you post your answer of number 4. I'm also going to send you some questions pertaining to. So in our next video, we want to see how do you find the magnitude of a vector. When we say position vector, what do we mean? So in our next lesson, we are looking at the position vectors. we are also looking at how do we find the magnitude of a vector. So watch out for the next lesson, where we'll be looking at the magnitude of a vector or the length of a vector, and also how do we use position vectors